Well, a total disaster. We're talking about USA versus Belgium, a match that was truly a game of two halves and tells us a whole lot about this US team.
So this is the big question, right? How on earth did a confident 1-0 lead just completely evaporate and turn into a 5-2 drubbing? The US looked great, and then the floodgates just burst open. We're going to walk you through exactly how it all fell apart.
But before we get to the goals, you gotta understand the star power on the field. For the US, you have Christian Pulisic. He's the guy that makes their attack tick. And for Belgium, you've got the master himself, Kevin De Bruyne, pulling all the strings. Both are the absolute talismans for their countries. And here's a fun fact. Both are actually former Chelsea players, so this was a huge storyline heading into the match.
And you have to remember, the stakes here were pretty high. This wasn't some meaningless kickabout. This was happening at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, a huge crowd, tons of energy. But the big thing, it was just 75 days before a World Cup on home soil for the USA. This was a massive, massive test.
So let's get into that first half, because in the beginning, it was all USA. Seriously, they came out flying, they were aggressive, organized, and frankly, they looked like the better team by a country mile.
The US was just relentless with the pressure. They were winning corner after corner and creating all sorts of problems. It all led to this huge chance for Weston McKennie, who was denied point blank by an incredible save from the Belgian keeper, Lamens. You could feel it. The momentum was completely with the home side.
And then in the 39th minute, all that pressure finally paid off. A great ball comes in, Weston McKennie makes this brilliant darting run and connects with a perfect first-time touch to put the United States up 1-0. I mean, the commentator nailed it. It was just a lovely, confident finish. At this moment, everything was going exactly to plan.
But you know how it goes in soccer. One single moment can change everything. And just as the US was about to head into the locker room with a lead they absolutely deserved, the entire script got flipped on its head.
With halftime just seconds away, Belgium strikes out of absolutely nowhere. A midfielder grabs a loose ball way outside the box, takes one touch, and just unleashes a missile into the net. It was a total psychological gut punch for the US right before the break.
And look, you can't take anything away from the goal itself. It was, as the commentator said, a phenomenal strike. The ball was hit with so much power, flew through a sea of players, and the US keeper, Matt Turner, he had basically zero chance to even react. It was a world-class goal at the absolute worst possible time to concede.
And that late goal, it seemed to just completely deflate the United States. I mean, when the teams came back out for the second half, it was a completely different story. Belgium took total control, and the US, well, they just fell apart.
The go-ahead goal came almost immediately after the restart. There's a Belgian attack, a challenge in the box, and the ball takes this horribly cruel deflection, falling perfectly for Amadou Onana. He wasn't going to miss from there, and just like that, it's 2-1 Belgium. Matt Turner was furious, but there was nothing he could do.
A little while later, though, it looked like Matt Turner was about to keep the US in the game. After this slick passing move from Belgium, he comes up with an absolutely massive point-blank save, just an incredible stop that really should have been a turning point.
But it wasn't a turning point, because as Turner was getting praise for his amazing save, the referee suddenly points to the penalty spot. He decided that the defender, Tim Ream, had handled the ball just before the shot was taken. The US players, they were just stunned.
And you know, even when you watch the replays, it's a really controversial call. Did the ball hit his arm? Maybe. It was hard to tell for sure, but the referee's decision was final. De Ketelaere steps up, buries the penalty, and now all of a sudden the US is staring down a 3-1 deficit.
And if you want to see just how quickly this game got away from them, just look at this timeline. 4 unanswered goals in the second half. It started just 2 minutes after the break, and then it was just a relentless wave of Belgian attacks. It was a complete and total collapse.
So the big question is, why did this happen? Well, the commentary team really hit the nail on the head. It came down to a key tactical failure. Over and over again, the US defenders were left in these isolated one-on-one situations against Belgium's incredibly skilled attackers. Players like Luca Bacchio were given way too much space, they were allowed to cut inside, and the results were devastating. It was, to put it bluntly, just not good enough defensively.
All right, let's get to the final moments and think about what this all means. At this point, the damage was done, and that final whistle just couldn't come soon enough for the home team.
The US did manage to claw one back near the end. Brendan Aronson jumped on a rare defensive mistake from Belgium to score. But let's be honest, it was purely a consolation goal. The game was long gone by then.
And there it is, the final score, 5-2.
Just seeing it like that really drives home how bad this defeat was. To go from leading 1-0 late in the first half to this, it's a truly shocking result, especially at home.
So that leaves us with the big, lingering question.